Hi, welcome back to the My Cupcake Addiction kitchen. On today's episode, I'm doing a very, very heavily requested Fault in Our Stars treat. Today we're going to make Fault in Our Stars Piñata cookies. Let's get started. To make your gorgeous piñata cookies, you're going to need a batch of sugar cookie dough. So I will link to the Cupcake Addiction vanilla sugar cookie dough recipe in the description box below. It's my favorite go-to cookie recipe. I've got a couple of spoons, some scissors, 2 Ziploc bags. I've got some melted white chocolate and some melted black candy melts, some plain flour. I've got some star sprinkles. That's what I'm going to be filling my cookies with today. I've also got some blue food coloring. I've got one of these cloud cookie cutters. This is part of a Wilton social media cookie cutter set. And then inside that one, I've also got a smaller circular cookie cutter. That's a little bit optional. You can also use a knife for that. I've got a rolling pin and I've got a baking tray lined with some baking paper. So to begin with, I've got my fresh, just mixed sugar cookie dough. So this hasn't been chilled at all. And I'm gonna add some of that blue food coloring and then just massage it through much the same way that you'd color fondant to give us a really nice blue base for our Fault in the Stars cookies. Once it's colored, wrap it tightly in plastic wrap and then you want to pop it in the fridge for about an hour or so before you start rolling it out so it's nice and chilled. Once chilled, your cookie dough will be quite firm, so I'm just pushing it down a little bit to get our roll started. Then you want to sprinkle down a generous amount of that plain flour before rolling your cookie dough out. You're going to need to apply quite a bit of pressure here because your cookie dough is going to be quite firm, and don't be afraid to put a little bit of that flour on the actual roller if it starts to stick, and also on the top of your cookie dough. Keep rolling till it's nice and flat and even, and you can see that mine's about sort of 3 millimeters thick. Remember, you're going to have 3 cookies stacked on top of each other, so don't go too thick here. Take your cloud speech bubble cookie cutter and you want to cut out 6 of those cloud shapes. 6 of those shapes is going to get you 2 completed cookies. If, like me, you've got a couple of your clouds that are a bit thicker than the others, they're perfect for your centerpieces. So take the thinner ones or the ones that are all relatively the same width rolled and stick those onto your baking tray. Your last 2 clouds, those thicker ones, can also go down onto the baking tray, and then you want to take your circle cutter and we're just going to cut a center piece out. You can do this with a knife, but when you use a knife, it kind of stretches the cookie dough a little bit, so be really careful. So you can see here, I'm just cutting out sort of 3 little circles, giving us a little bit of a space in the center of our clouds. You want to cook those for 7 to 10 minutes or until they slightly brown around the edges. Once they're cooked and completely cooled, we can start decorating. So your Ziploc bags you need to fill with both the black candy melt and also either the white candy melt or the white chocolate. And I'm just going to scoop that in, push it all the way to the corner, and then snip off a very small little tip off the end to sort of fashion it into a nice fine piping bag. Pair up your cookies so that they're all about the same size. So I've just sort of roughly by eye made sure that my 3 best shapes and sizes are paired together. And then on the back of one of your centerpieces, you're just going to use that white chocolate to trace around like a bit of a circle. Don't go too close to the edges here because you don't want it spilling out between your cookies. Use that to glue the centerpiece onto your base piece of your Fault in Our Stars cookie. And then you want to take your stars. So I didn't quite know what I was going to fill these with. I was thinking M&Ms or nerds. So a big thanks to Lizzie and the 3 E's for your awesome suggestion to fill them with stars. How fitting. Once they're full, use that white chocolate again to trace a little circle around the outer edges of your top cookie and use that to glue it onto the top of your cookie stack. I opted for white chocolate and black candy melts, but you can also use cookie icing here. And to do the decorations on the top, I'm just edging around about 2 millimeters inside the outer line of my cookie. And then I'm using that Ziploc bag just to fill in the center. So we're kind of flooding this cookie with that beautiful white chocolate. Once you've got it all full of white chocolate, you just want to tap that cookie gently on the bench a couple of times, which will help your white chocolate to get nice and smooth on top of your cookie. Repeat that with the black candy melt, so you've got 1 cloud in each color, and then you want to let those completely set before we do our final decorations. For final decorations, you're going to take your Ziploc bag with the black, and on the white cloud, you want to hand write the word OK full stop. Then on the black cloud with your white candy melt or your white chocolate, you want to hand write the word OK with a question mark. So there you've got your completed Fault in Our Stars cookie stacks. When you smash those open, they're going to be full of, very appropriately, stars. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you will love making these piñata cookies for your friends and family. If you love this tutorial, make sure you give it a thumbs up and give it a share. And as always, thanks very much for tuning in to My Cupcake Addiction.